Hello race fans and welcome to round 4 of the MotorMotion ShawFire V8 Supercars series. Our sponsor ShawFire, they provide unique solutions to your signage and display needs. From business cards and stickers to factory signage and vehicle wraps, they can make you stand out. So make sure that you visit www.shawfire.com.au, the official and proud sponsors of the MotorMotion E-Series V8 Supercars. Tonight in the commentary box we have Nick Pautasso and Kez Kesby. We've got round 4 Road Atlanta. One lap around here is 4 kilometers long. These drivers have 12 turns to navigate 55 times here at the Enduro at Road Atlanta. Qualifying has been set. We're going to go through the grid now. We've got Kuchar in first, Austin in second, Rushton in third, and Sampson up into fourth place. In fifth, we've got Van der Zandt. Sixth place, Robinson. Brun up into seventh, and Pierce in eighth. Ninth place, we've got Mario. 10th, Kentwell. 11th, Atwell. And in 12th, we've got Britnell. 13th, we've got Dylan Scarborough, followed very closely by his uncle Mark Scarborough for Scarborough Racing. Burgess in 15th, and Blake rounding out the field. Make sure you share us with the hashtag #LightItUp so we know that you guys are supporting us while we follow this stream as we cross over live now to our main commentators with Nick and Kez. Welcome, guys.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Yes, welcome to the ShawFire Supercar Series. We bring you round 4 here at Road Atlanta in Georgia, in the state of Georgia. It's a bright sunny day here as I welcome my fellow commentator who had a little bit of a break away from St. Croix B. Apparently was his boarding pass did not go through on the Qantas flight to France, but now he's joined us here in America. Welcome, Kez.
Thank you very much for having us back there, Spud. Yeah, a little airline drama there, not the local flying kangaroo, someone else. So glad to be back here. Glad to be at Road Atlanta. Road Atlanta is one of the new tracks that was introduced into GT7 in the past couple of months. Fantastic track, full of blind corners, very undulating. Yeah, and this round being a endurance round, so yeah, longer than what we've seen beforehand, and we also have a few new drivers on the grid for this round as well, so looking forward to it. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So we're going to be over here for the next gruesome 70 odd minutes of racing as we wait for those lights to go out. We are 5 red lights, Kuch on pole, Austin in second, and we are lights out, green flag racing. A beautiful jump there by Kuch and Osto. But we're going to see those cars go through side by side. Osto is going to look to go around the long way. Well, Kuch is going to go keeping that lead in P1, but Ruzzy has come out of nowhere. He's come from third to first, so what a beautiful start there by Rushton in the Rushfire Mustang. But he's come through into turn 1. He looks like he's just cut the corner there, Kez, so we'll wait and see what happens through the S section. Will he pick up the penalty? Unfortunately, he does. That's a 1-second penalty there for Ruzzy and for Rushfire, so that's not the start he wanted. A brilliant launch there by the Mustang driver, but unfortunately, all that hard work's going to come undone by as he runs down through the grid with Hellblazer coming up into 4th place, Robbo in 5th place, so we keep our eyes on the diffusion drivers. Robbo right behind his teammate. Blocking a little bit off. Robbo goes a little bit too deep going into turn 9. He runs onto the grass. He can't control the car. Him and Roddy Dongs go together. And Robbo has got into the barrier. That is an unfortunate scenario for Robbo Sport in the barrier from 6th place down to 16th place. A long recovery drive for Robbo to do as we now see Ruzzy take his penalty and the lead restored with the Black Rose Racing driver in Kuch 426.
Good start there by Ruzzy. These penalties are no good on this track, and you have to burn in the fastest part of the course. A 1-second penalty is probably going to cost you around 3 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on these penalties throughout it, but it is definitely, you're going to lose a lot of spots if you pick one up, so try and keep it on the track there, boys, and everything will be fine. Very congested up the front there.
Very. Absolutely. This is one of the harsh tracks when it comes to penalties. Back where we saw rounds 1, 2, and 3, they weren't really much of effect there as they were just before the corner, so you can get away with getting a half-second penalty and not losing a position, even 1 second at points. But here at Road Atlanta, it is on the back straight, halfway through the back straight. So, like you said, you will lose more than a second if it is a second penalty. You'll lose about 2 to 3 seconds. So, not what you want to have, when, especially for Ruzzy, who took the lead at turn 1. It was a beautiful start there by the driver, by the Ford driver in 4th place to get it up into P1. Just unfortunate, a little bit too confident, you could say, in getting that lead, and yeah, just got to his head, and then obviously not used to that pressure. Kuch just runs the car a little bit too deep and coming all sorts of under pressure from Osto 101 in the Ned Racer, the man that took victory last time out at St. Croix B8 in France. He'll be looking to make a charge on Kuch 426, even potentially take another victory. We'll find out very soon, but Kuch looks to be the man on form, Kez, and you can't take your eyes, and you can't write him off for taking another victory in the ShawFire Supercar Series.
No, I love the way Kuch opened up his first account in the first round there. He got my driver of the day for that one. We mentioned before, and he struggled with the front tyres. He seems to use his front tyres quite a bit, so hopefully they've worked on that. This being round 4, so keep an eye on that. But his fuel burn's quite good as well. But, nice to see him out front. Yeah, he's my man for the season, so do me proud, please, Coach.
Absolutely. So Black Rose Racing coming in with fine form here, he's the championship leader as well after taking that lead away from Squirrel 18 at the conclusion of round 2 at Dragon Trail Seaside, and managed to hold on to that championship lead, even though despite finishing behind Osto 101, still held on to that championship lead. So it's all up to Osto to really put pressure on the leader in Kuch 426. But we have a few familiar faces, but not really as what we see towards the front there. Hellblazer in 3rd place, doing an outstanding job for Diffusion Engineering. He's come from out of nowhere, Kez, from round 1. They've really struggled to get this car working for them since Red Bull Ring, but over the weeks have gone by. Every time I jump onto a GT7 lobby, who do I see in a GT lobby practicing? Hellblazer and Diffusion Engineering. Him and RoboSport are working very hard to get this Mustang up towards the front and try and get their first victory, and a first victory for the Ford Mustang as well.
He started in 4th, which is I think his best qualifying that he has done. A little bit unfortunate for Robbo there, running wide. He had a good qualifying, 2 out of 6, but he's at the back of the pack at the moment, which is unfortunate. So hopefully he puts his head down and gets into it. But yeah, well done to Hellblazer, doing well. And Squirrel, who's won the round 1 event, running in 4th there.
Absolutely, and as I just cut you off there, Kez, we did see Kuch go defensive going into turns 10A and 10B. Osto and Kuch are going side by side, going to the final corner. Kuch was really compromised on turn 9 and leading onto the back straight, had to go to the defensive move. It's a little bit early to be doing some defensive driving, Kez. We're on lap 5 of 55. It's a long race to go. We're about just over 50 laps to go. Kuch is still in the lead, but is coming all sorts of under pressure from Osto 101 as he just really pushes that Ned Mustang. I have to tell you that Ned Mustang, over the last few rounds, not even last week, but the week before, that car has been really solid, and so far looks to be a really solid car this evening as well.
Yeah, it looks like the boys have worked hard on their setup. They're 1 and 2 in the championship at the moment,
Yes.
by 2 points, believe it or not. So they're going to be racing hard against each other. They want to be out in front.
Absolutely, but as we run down through the field, we have Ruzzy, who's settling into 5th place, and then we have a brand new name here in the MotorMotion Supercars Series, proudly sponsored by ShawFire. We have iMatt99548. A bit of a mouthful for a username, but we'll just call him Matt. But it is a brand new name in Johnson Lobby and a brand new team for the ShawFire Supercar Series, CP Motorsports. If you guys don't know who CP Motorsports are, if you are in the Australian sim racing community, you definitely need to know who CP Motorsport are. They are a well-respected team in any form of league racing they do, whether it's all Australia or racing overseas. You will see at least one CP Motorsport car on a grid and in the field there. And these guys have a high reputation, putting sponsors on their cars, real-world sponsors, and really promoting their brands as well as promoting the team in their striking blue and white livery. But CP Motorsports is a brand new addition for the ShawFire Supercar Series, and we cannot wait to see what they can do with IMAT in Johnson Lobby. Unfortunately, they don't have a second driver and for the Rock Lobby, so we'll find out next time out when we go for round 5 at Sardinia B who their second driver will be.
No, it's good to see him get a late call up to the MotorMotion series for the ShawFire series. The car looks stunning. Be interested to see how Matt goes. This is Matt's first outing. He's qualified in 5th, so it's pretty good for a debut. The rest of the chaps are used to these cars being round 4, so they've spent a good month tuning, getting it all together. As Ben Baker, we see Ben Baker's got a second penalty there. He's got the course there. Good to see some new faces in here, and we see Mario in a different coloured car as well. Being away for a week, I'm not sure what's happened there. Is Mario looks like he's in an ice car?
I too have noticed that as well. So as I walked into the paddock this morning at Road Atlanta, I did see a familiar name in DP Mario returning to the field. But what was interesting though, Kez, he wasn't wearing the Rushfire merch. He was actually wearing the ISA Esports merch, and it's actually now official that with the contract termination of Brendan March as the second driver of ISA Esports, they've actually managed to go in and coop DP Mario away from Rushfire Racing due to DP Mario missing the last round at St. Croix B and not fulfilling his contract terms of being part of the event, and which unfortunately the duo of Rushton and DP Mario had to mutually terminate their contracts, which left DP Mario a free transfer to any team that need that acquired his service. And the first one calling was ISA Esports, and they've acquired DP Mario's services for the remainder of the Supercar series, and we can't wait to see his progress and what he can do for ISA Esports. As we now see Osto 101 in first place, Hellblazer in second, Kutch has dropped down to third place. I will tell you, he did make a huge mistake going onto the pit straight. He ran wide. He actually caught the grass on the exit of turn 12, and he just spat the car out. He made contact with the wall, as we can see on the car. He's got a bit of rear damage from the rear right damage coming from that Black Rose Racing entry. And that's a very unfortunate thing to lose 2 positions as we see ahead. Hellblazer starting to make moves on Oslo 101, putting the pressure on the net race, as we see there, Ford versus Chevrolet. It is what we're going to see in the real life supercars for the new Gen 3 era, starting in March 10 at Newcastle for the Newcastle 500. The Repco supercars, Ford versus Chevrolet. Well, here at MotorMotion, we're bringing you Ford versus Chevrolet nice and early. Hellblazer looks like he's going to be coming through onto turns 10A and B into the lead. He does. So he's just lost about it, but they're going to go side by side going into turn 11 and 12. Hellblazer just holds on to P1, and Hellblazer for the first time in the Supercar Series leads a lap here at MotorMotion.
Good for him, yeah. I think Costo went a little bit defensive there too early. Probably should have got over the racing line and made Hellblazer go off the racing line. He probably would have held the position, but nice racing from Costo and all that. No contact made throughout a tricky part of the circuit. Jog on, boys. You're on lap 9. Long way to go.
Long way to go, that's right. And the pit stops will come into effect here, Kez. We're going to be looking at drivers looking to go for the traditional full stop, where you pit at the end of lap 11, and then that'll get you all the way to the end of lap 55 on what will be quite a used set of worn soft tyres. But what we have seen in the Rock Lobby previously, earlier in the broadcast, we did see a few drivers stay out for those few extra laps there, even pushing it to about lap 14 to make it into the pit lane. So it could be very interesting to see what the strategists are coming through in the Johnson Lobby. Yeah,
very much a fuel race, this one here. Definitely if you're going into fuel, you'd be crazy not to take on some tyres. But just noticed Squirrel's got his windscreen wipers on.
Oh, there you go.
Sweating that hard. must be misty on the outside of his windscreen there.
Absolutely right. I mean, even there, you can even see there. It's a whole world with the technology, Kez, that, you know, maybe on Squirrel's end of the screen that it might be pouring down with rain, but then for the other guys it's all dry and bone dry. But if Squirrel's setting 1 minute 17 laps here, then, you know, on a wet tyre for Squirrel, that'll be quite impressive. So who knows what Squirrel's going through on his end of the console.
I think it's wet from his brow. He needs some wipers on his sunglasses. It's very hot there today by the looks of it. A little bit of cover there from the trees, but very hot surface, so pretty grippy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always really hard as well to be driving in a cockpit view. I noticed a few times is that there are a few certain cars that you can get away with driving cockpit view, and it becomes a really good treat. But in most of the, you talk about the majority of the drivers that play Gran Turismo 7, they're always either using the bumper cam or even using the bonnet view. But then you have a few drivers as well, like we have a couple of elite drivers in the GT world, such as Valeria Gallo and Matthew McEwen. They both race in third-person view, so in the chase cam, which is always very interesting to see how they actually do that.
Yeah, a little bit too arcadey for me in that view, but they're the best of the best, so there's obviously something to learn from those guys, and it is effective. I mean, we try to keep it as realistic as we can, but whatever gets you there to the top of the top, let's use the game to its full potential, and they've worked out how to do that, and good on them, and they're doing great.
100%, and Valeria Gallo is the esports Olympic champion back in 2021, where GT Sport was the main platform for the E-Series Olympics for motorsport, and he won that fair and square with Italy, and also Matt McEwen for New Zealand, a very highly respected driver in the sim world, in the racing community, and a top caliber driver that everyone admires and everyone learns from. So all these drivers, they know they're not in that kind of level of competition, but, you know, drivers like them inspire them to be fast. And with these guys learning about tuning as well, you know, they may even think they're faster than these drivers because they have the upper hand. But as we see the first phase of pit stops coming through, Hellblazer into the pit lane, as well as Osto 101 into the pit lane, both on 12 litres of fuel. So it's going to be the battle of pit crews. Who gets the tyres on faster? Who gets the fuel tank in quicker? We'll find out very shortly, as Kuch is now leading the race. Imat doing, after an impressive debut, is holding on to P2, and then our man Kez flyboarding, the man that did an work for him, but got himself inside the top 8. I'm surprised. I don't think he'll be able to do a one-stop here. Surely not.
Not today, but looks like that. Looks like he's pressing hard in this event, taking on a different strategy to what they normally do, to what his team normally does. But yeah, I think he might be on the full stopper there, so yeah, a bit different. But I just noticed before when you put on the mat, his fuel burn looks pretty good. He seems to have a bit more on the tank, and so does Mario as well. So they potentially could be on the 3-stopper.
So the Mustangs what we can say is actually getting more laps than the Camaro, which could be a potential for the end of this race. This will be something very interesting to see, as Flyboard just runs it a little bit too deep, going to 10A and 10B. But DP Mario, like you said, yeah, is saving a lot of fuel. He's just got into the red right now, so he might be coming in at the end of this lap. It might be a little bit tight to make a 3-stop work, but we'll see what DP Mario does. As Kuch is in the pit lane, and we'll wait and see if he's able to get himself ahead of Hellblazer and Osto 101. But it'll be very tight between those two drivers, as now we have the CP driver in Imat leading the race. And just like you said, Kez, that fuel tank is looking spectacular. It's not even in the red, Kez. So do you think he could go for at least another 2-3 more laps if he keeps it this way?
I'd like to see him do another, if he could stretch another 2 laps on this, opening him up for the 3-stopper.
Yeah.
Which will hopefully put him in a podium position, or even win the race, and on debut for this team. Oh, well,
that'll be another trophy going into the CP Motorsport cabinet. I mean, they've already another factory just to fill their trophies. So Chase, so the team owner Chase doesn't even have room at his house to put trophies in his cabinet. So he's going to be trying to find the best place and the best deal to find a good cabinet to put his trophies on. But first we see flyboarding coming into the pit lane on the end of lap 13 and the start of lap 14. But Imat still staying out. He's now dipped into the red Kez, so this could be the lap that maybe he might not be able to do it. He might just have to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, he'll definitely come in and fuel up, put some tyres on that vehicle. As me mate Roddy Dons, he's the old Lee Kernaghan fan. He's great at doing donuts on dirt patches. He's gone well in this series. He's running 8th overall in the championship. See him come along. He had that coming together with, unfortunately, Robbo, where Robbo just lost it there on the opening couple of laps there. So good to see him in there in at ninth. Oh, he's got the penalty.
Oh, he's got the 3 seconds. So
no.
This is the problem. This is the problem that drivers have to deal with, Kez. That pit entry is so tight. It's just as tight as the entry going into Watkins Glen. It's really, really hard, and it's really about fine margins, about trying to get your pit entry in. But unfortunately for the Black Rose Racing driver in Roddy Dongs, unfortunately he's just crossed that pit line, and that's cost him a chance to get himself anywhere near a battling contention for the top 10. But as now we see Imat in the pit lane for CP Motorsports, a very good solid stint, 14 laps on a tank of fuel and tyres. That's a brilliant performance for his first stint.
Good opening stint there. Definitely on a 3-stop, I think. I like to look for that one. Hellblazer's going well there. He's jumped someone. He's jumped on Augusto, hasn't he? Yes.
I think he did take the lead off Augusto 101 before the first pit stops, but it looks like he's just held on nicely just to maintain the lead. Kutch is following them very close on the tail, so the top 3 is a Ford Mustang, the first of the Ford Mustangs, and Hellblazer leading a race in first place, and then Augusto 101, the last round victor at St. Croix B, and then we have Kutch 426, the man of Mr. Consistent on the podiums. Kutch 426, 3 out of 3 on the podiums, and he looks certain to make it 4 out of 4. But we're almost about to approach 40 laps to go in this race, and we cannot wait to see. We can't even make a call right now who's going to win it. I want to say Hellblazer wants to win it, but then the other people are going to say Augusto is going to win it. We may even see a guy like DP Mario win, or even Imat. You never know, Kez.
Yeah, you never know, but it's great to see Hellblazer out the front there. I don't think he's led a lap in the previous rounds.
No, he had not led a lap at all. As Augusto looks for an inside move, he's just sticking the nose in there and getting Hellblazer a little bit worried there.
Yeah, I don't think he would have made. I don't like people passing there on that first corner. I don't think he should overtake a vehicle there. So it's nice to just a little bit of gamesmanship there from Augusto there, just to go, hey mate, I'm here. How you going? And put his eyes in the rear vision mirror instead of trying to turn right. So that's a good tactic from Augusto there. He's applying a lot of pressure. There's a yellow flag.
Looks like we have Burge. So we have Burge. Yep. So we have Burge in the 16 in the Rushfire Mustang. So actually as well, another note as well that we actually didn't mention there, Kez, that Burge is actually, while you were away last week, he actually made his wildcard debut in the Mustang in the ShawFire Supercar Mustang, and after that good performance in the Mustang, just finishing outside the top 10, but held his own, did his own race, didn't fight anybody, let the leaders go through. And actually, funny enough as well, his good friend in Russie, Wade Rushton, so the owner of Rushfire, they're actually good friends in real life, Kez. And he's actually managed to sign him up and say, hey, I've got a vacant seat, and you impressed me in your first outing with us, so why don't you come join us and for the rest of the season? And he just couldn't turn the offer down.
No, you love the race with your mates. That's what all about, having a bit of fun, having competitive fun, keeping it clean. But yeah, if you can share it with your friends or family, that's fantastic as well. I've seen Fly's having a few internet issues there or something.
Yeah, it looks like
there.
He has mentioned well before the broadcast, whilst the race was a run, he actually had a full week of power outages and power cuts, like in his neck of the towns. And unfortunately for him, he just had a lot of internet problems with his broadband and with the NBN. Not really syncing up to his PlayStation 2 the speeds that he wanted, and he always found it hard getting into lobbies and staying connected for at least 5 minutes before he would disconnect him. So he's done 22 minutes of the race, almost 23, lap 18, almost on lap 18 of 55. He's holding on strong, and he's holding on to P6 with Juiced Motorsport, where we saw his teammate do a really good job as well in the Rock Lobby, running high up as early as in the top 8, but unfortunately he also got himself a disconnect alongside myself, unfortunately. So I was one of the drivers that suffered the cursed disconnect of GT7 lobbies, and yeah, myself and Wayne from Juiced Motorsport were the only DNFs in that race.
Yeah, it's happened a bit the last couple of weeks. I think there's some extra traffic on, and I believe they're running those World Series things again, so
yeah,
they'll be taking up all the bandwidth of the servers. But yeah, good to see Fly. He's up from position 10. He started 10. He's up to 7th now. So he seems to be
really
on
good
the
job.
same. Yeah, but he doesn't seem to be doing that same strategy as what he normally does. He looks like he's on that full stopper, but he's battling now with Ruzzy, who had a fantastic opening start in the race, but yeah, copped that penalty, and unfortunately he's gone a bit backwards from there now.
Just very unlucky there from Ruzzy. Just he had it all going into turn 1, just taking the lead of the race, and all he had to do was just not overdrive it. But unfortunately for him, he just kind of just overstepped it a little bit, and just maybe got a little bit too confident on the throttle and in the turn-in points. Obviously, with cold tires, you're gonna experience a lot of understeer. But unfortunately for his case, he experienced too much turn-in going into turn 3, and he just unfortunately caught the corner cutting and the dreaded 1 second penalty on his end. So very unfortunate for him, but he's still holding on to P7. Hopefully he can keep that result going at least inside the top 8. But DP Mario in 8th place for ICE Esports, and Robbo Sport actually doing a remarkable job after having that incident with Roddy Dogs and the opening lap. He's up into P9 there, Kez, so he's done a very fantastic job keeping that car steady and keeping it clean and not having any more incidents.
Great recovery there.
And then we have the first of the It's Racing Esports Camaros in Briz Lightning 55s in 10th place, while his teammate Tony Griffin in the Rock Lobby just finished outside the top 10, and obviously just trying to accumulate points as it is It's Racing Esports debut series in MotorMotion. They're very well known.
Today? First It's cars in MotorMotion this week, is it?
No, they've been around since the opening round, but the leader, the team boss, withdrew his just put his helmet up and just said he wanted to give someone else an opportunity so he could run the team a little bit better. And yeah, so the leader of It's Racing, Jarman Dalitz, has given that seat an opportunity to Griffo. But he's been doing a really good job in the Brock Lobby, just keeping that car consistently inside the top 10 or just sitting on the outskirts, but so a little bit more pace to find in that Camaro. But Roddy Dongs in 11th place after that incident, caught up with Robbo Sport as well. So 2 drivers that got very unlucky at the start of the race in 11th place. Madrick sitting in 12th place. Uncle Mark, who's just come into the pit lane, who is ahead of his nephew in Marty McFarty. And then we have Benjamin Blaker, and then we have Burgee in 16th and last place. So a full grid this evening. 16 drivers here this evening. It's great to see with that addition of the new team in CP Motorsports to have a full lobby in the Johnson lobby. So thank you so much to our drivers this evening for making this happen. Without you guys, we wouldn't even have a supercar series, and it's been awesome. The response has been awesome for this series. and hopefully the broadcasting for your view, and for us, it's been a really good show, and we can't wait to bring you more. So subscribe to the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube channel, where you can catch all of the ShawFire Supercar series over the next few weeks. 3 rounds to go. Here at Road Atlanta on lap 20 of 55, we have Osto 101 leading Kutch 426, and Hellblazers just dropped down outside, out of touching distance from Kutch and Osto, but still hanging on into P3 as Kutch is now putting back the pressure on Osto 101, where he was getting pressured in the opening stint of the race.
The back of that Hellblazer car doesn't look that great. It's a bit squirmy in the corners. I think that's where he's lost the. He's probably overheated those tyres. I would think. The tyre wear's okay, but you can overheat the tyres, and that does reflect like in real life in this game, where you lose all grip. It's not tyre wear, it's just heat.
It's just the heat, yeah.
Yeah, so he's dropped back to third, so you just want to hang on to the back of Kutch there. Kutch is making, he's done the same as what Osto did to him a couple of laps before, showing the nose, and it's like, come on mate, I'm going to have a go, but no, please don't pass it to him.
No, that's right. But yeah, as we saw there with the Camaros, they are saving a little bit more of the rear tyres compared to Hellblazer's rear tyres, where his tyres are actually well shot at the rear. So yeah, there's a huge difference in tyre wear between the Camaro and the Mustang. Mustang just always a little bit happy on the rear end, always loves to step out on you when you least expect it, and Hellblazer looks like he's just struggling there. Oh, he's even drifting through turns 8 and going into turn 9 there. That's incredible. So much wheel spin, even in third gear. Like the third gear wheel spin is incredible in that diffusion. It's not it's a cool spectacle, but it's not the fastest way around a corner.
No, probably done something in diff settings there or something, or maybe even a gearbox change, a shorter third gear or something. But it's really exciting that left rear tyre.
There we go. We got the second phase of the pit stops here. We have Osto 101 and Hellblazer coming into the pit lane right now. So Kutch takes back the lead, and it was only a very small gap between Osto and Kutch 426. So Kutch is going to be really using this lap, and probably the next lap, because I feel like his fuel is pretty good. He might be using this to his advantage and try and make an overcut work here, Kez. He really needs to try and make that, use these tyres up to their full potential. Oh, it just almost runs it onto the grass there through the S's, but he really needs to make full use of his tyres and use up as much fuel as he can, just to get a little bit more of an edge over Osto and come out as the race leader of round 4 at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, we noticed in previous rounds, he's good on the fuel. His front tyre wear suffers, which we picked up on in round 1. Something that we thought he may work at, but looks to be similar. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but hey, he's the leader of the race, so press on, my man.
Absolutely. So we'll wait and see what he does now. Will he come into the pit lane, or will he do one more lap? As Martin McFarlane looks like he's just blocked the pit lane. So, this could be going up for potentials to his view there. Did Marty actually block Kutch 426 going into the pit lane? Would Kutch have thought of coming into the pit lane, but he just saw a yellow flag there, and he saw Martin McFarlane parked his car on the entry of the pit lane.
No, he stayed out. He's fine on fuel. He'll come. Hopefully, he should get up in this lap now. But as he's coming up to a back marker now, is that bridge? Yeah. Just curved out for him. No, you want to stay out there. Use your fuel up. Your tyres, you can still operate on those. But yeah, it's still a problem with him with the front tyre wear. So I don't know when that's going to get through to the engineer that, hey, we need to work on that a little bit. But,
yeah, absolutely. And it is your championship leader, so you think, you want to be working really hard to preserve that championship lead here. But I feel like with his front tyres really wearing out a little bit faster than what he anticipated, he's probably going to lose out in this pit stop to Osto and probably even Hellblazer. But we'll wait and see as he's just now dipped into the red red line of the fuel, and now he's just going to turn right, come into the pit lane, negotiate that safely. Yeah, he looks like he just made that through, he made that cleanly. So just unlike his teammate Rodidons, who just crossed the pit line, which is very tricky. But your race leader and championship leader for the ShawFire Supercar Series in the pit lane.
Hey, look who's in first, mate. There he goes, new guy. CP Motorsports, Matty. And fuel looks really good, tyres look really good. That car is settled. Where has this guy been all season? We love
Where
him.
has he been? Where has he been? I was actually really surprised as well, talking to Chase Persh from the team boss of CP Motorsports, well before the Supercar Series started, and I said to him, mate, you know, you're like one of the biggest esports teams in Australia. Like, why haven't you got an entry in? And he just told me, unfortunately, they just missed the deadline, Kez. They only missed the deadline by literally by a minute. They were just about to put their entry in, and then the cutoff came at exactly 12 o'clock, and he has submitted his entry at 12:01 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
And they just missed out, and they had to unfortunately be put on the reserves list. So,
well, good to see him out there now. They had to wait 4 rounds. It's good to see a car out there. Good to see him run around in P1. He'll go around doing a couple of laps here. So
yeah, absolutely. So they've done really well to prepare that car, that beautiful livery, on the last minute to get themselves on a plane to Road Atlanta from their headquarters in Melbourne, where we have IMATs, and they had a second CP Motorsport car ready for the Brock Lobby, but unfortunately they just couldn't find a driver there. So all they did was they tried to advertise a vacant spot for anyone to take that seat and to take that entry in the Supercar Series for the Brock Lobby, but unfortunately there were no takers available. So that CP Motorsports second car is just still sitting in the transporter, and yeah, there's no mileage on that car at all.
Well, hopefully someone in the stream who's interested in racing in this event wants to do a sim race of the real show that's coming up, starting in Newcastle with the Supercars. Get in touch with Chase and see if we can put you in that seat. There you go. And I noticed DP with his running in second too. So
yeah,
they must be on a similar strategy. So that's good for ISA.
Absolutely, but I have a feeling that DP might come into the pit lane right now. He's in the red. He could potentially go for one more lap, but he has to put it in like about lean fuel mix 4 or 5. So there you go. He actually does one more lap here, so he's actually extended his stint from his